Hey guys, my name is Divya. I am a doctor and I have been in a management role with a healthcare company for a while. Exams really attract me, so I've been taking a series of certifications to bump up my own knowledge. One of the certifications that I recently took was the SHRM, and I've been doing a series of videos to help everybody out in the community crack this exam. I really hope these videos are helping you. If they are, please take a moment to subscribe to my channel. It would really mean a lot to me. It helps me keep going and keeps me motivated. Okay guys, so today's video is all about situational judgment questions. This is a highly requested video, so I just thought that I'll sit down today and film it. It's something that I've mentioned in my previous videos. So for those of you who don't know, on the SHRM exam, there are 160 questions, and 65 of those questions are what we call situational judgment questions. These are questions that have a little bit of a paragraph, an introduction, and sort of an essay, and there's a story that revolves around the question. You're supposed to read the story and then answer the question. I have always mentioned in my previous videos that these questions are your friend. Yes, they take a little bit of time to read, and yes, you should have all the knowledge to answer these questions, but the best thing about these questions, you don't have to memorize anything. You just need to read the question and answer it based on whatever is given. So today on my channel, I just wanted to do an example of a question that I came up with on my own, and I wanted to share it with all of you. So let's get right into it. Okay guys, so this is one of the questions that I came up with on my own, and I wanted to share it with all of you. I think this will give us a good understanding of what situational judgment questions look like and how we're supposed to read into them and tackle the question. So here we go. You are the HR senior manager who has been handed over the task to coordinate organization structure creation, and for this, you have to coordinate with various departments. You have made a list of all department managers and have personally spoken to every single one of them over a phone call. Head of finance and IT were quite gruff, but you still think that all in all it was a good conversation and a decent start. You have emailed all 20 department managers so that documentation and communication are preserved. You've also requested that they send you a department chart, which you can utilize to create the org chart. It takes about 2 weeks for most people to respond. After you follow up with everyone, you have department charts for all departments except IT and finance. You're also aware that IT is undergoing major restructuring and finance is closing the books of accounts. Your deadline is fast approaching. What should your approach be? Email finance and IT again? Email finance but not IT since they're restructuring? Email IT but not finance since they're closing the books of accounts? Email manager of IT and finance and CC their bosses? Call manager of IT and finance first, and if they do not email you in a couple of days, email them and CC their supervisors. So if you look at this question, there is quite a bit going on. You have the task of creating an org chart. Basically, you want to create a structure for the organization, but for that you have to ensure that you have the structure, reporting hierarchy, and other things, even team members from the various departments. So for this, you've contacted all the managers, and now you want a department chart from them, which can all be collated together as an org chart. So now that all that is done, you've still not received anything from finance and IT, who were gruff in the beginning to begin with. However, you also know that they are sort of busy with certain things going on in their department. So what should you really do? So there are two answers that I hope that you're confused between, because I would have been. Well, rather three answers, I would say. The first one that I would think of picking is A, email finance and IT again. Hey, I emailed them once, I followed up once, but then maybe I can just email them again. Let's just see how it goes. Then the second, so B and C aren't really aren't really answers. They're sort of there to throw you off because, they're talking about restructuring and closing books of accounts, and it happens all the time in companies. But then the point is that a lot of things happen in parallel in companies. And we have to realize that we have to work together, but also get our work done and achieve our own goals. So I would off the bat eliminate B and C while I'm answering this question. D and E are good answers. Do you want to email manager of IT and finance and CC their bosses? Or do you want to call them first, and if they do not email you back in a couple of days, then you email them again and CC their supervisors? So in a question like this, I really would be slightly confused between A, D, and E. And which one would I finally pick? So as seconds pass by, I would really think that the best option is option E. So you want to call them first because you know there's lots of things going on, restructuring and closing books of accounts. And then you want to email them right after the phone call as a follow-up. If they don't respond within a couple of days, you can always email them and CC their supervisors. So I would say option E is the best one. Let's just say that option E did not exist at all in this question. It was A, B, C, and D. Now what would you pick? So I think that the second best answer here, or if there were no E, the best answer would be D. You want to email the managers of IT and finance, and you want to CC their bosses. Remember, it is important to work in collaboration, but you also have your goals to achieve, and your deadline is fast approaching. So this is really the way that I would tackle a situational judgment question. I would read through them. I would understand what is really going on and just pick the best answer and move on. Okay guys, I'm back here and you can see me and we can chit chat a little bit. So what I did in this video is just go over a situational judgment question, and hopefully it helped you see how we can read through it, understand the story, and tackle the question. A few things from my end. There'll always be 2 or 3 answers that you're confused about. Most of the times it's 2, because even though I gave you 5 options in this question that we just discussed, most of SHRM only has 4 options. It's A through D. And right off the bat, you can eliminate 2 answers. So like I eliminated B and C, and then I asked you guys, what do you think is really the right answer, A, D, or E? So eliminate answers and use the functions available on the exam. Whether you're taking the exam from home or you're doing it at an exam center, please remember there's something called highlighting and the strikeout option. If you can eliminate answers, strike them out immediately. So then you'll probably be left with 2 answers, and then you just want to use logic and see what do you think is better. In this question that we just discussed, it's easy to think that you just want to email IT and finance again. But then what is the difference? What is the difference between your action now and your previous action? Moreover, what are you doing to actually ensure that you are meeting deadlines? You're meeting your goals. So the thing to do differently is to call up and follow up with an email, and then if it's not done, then definitely CC their supervisors. So use the strikeout function, use the highlighting function the day of the exam, and even if you're not sure of something, pick whatever you think is the best answer. You can flag the question and later on come back if you have time left at the end of the exam. So this is how I would tackle situational judgment questions. One other thing, on the day of the exam, you get 2 pieces of paper with a pencil to write on. They're blank sheets, and this is allowed regardless of whether you're taking the exam from home or from a testing center. It is helpful to write a few things down on these sheets of paper. While you're answering questions, while you're flagging, highlighting, and using the strikeout function, you can always make a few notes. What kind of notes would you make? So in a question like this, where we just discussed what's happening with restructuring and creating of the org chart, I think a few notes would be the goal is to create the org chart, and that 2 departments haven't responded, and what you really need to do. The big picture is that there is a whole bunch of things going on in the entire company with various departments being involved in various things. But hey, at the end of the day, everybody has to do their little bit, and that's how the big organizational goals get achieved. Alignment of goals is another thing that SHRM talks about all the time. So I think this was a nice question to see how goals and different aspects actually tie in together. Once again, guys, I do hope that these videos are helping you. If they are, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.